Monday, everyone. Todd Thoughton here from Thoughton Physical Therapy. Excited to be here for another episode of Facebook Live. For those of you who have tuned in before, welcome back. For those of you who have not tuned in before, I've been a physical therapist for just about 24 years, and I'm really passionate about helping people. The reason I started doing the Facebook Live is I wanted to be able to have more of a reach to a bigger group of people to share some of the knowledge that I've had over the years and hopefully help people get through their injuries at a quicker rate, just to have some more information about what physical therapists do and how we as physical therapists can help you. Please feel free to reach out at any time as well to toddh@thoughtonphysicaltherapy.com. So super excited about today's topic. Today's topic, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she had mentioned that another friend of ours had a couple questions about an injury, and he is an obstacle course racer. He loves doing the Spartan races and just many of the other obstacle course races. So tonight's topic is common obstacle course racing injuries, how to diagnose, treat, recover from them, and win the day. You would be watching if you're an obstacle course racer and you might have low back pain, hip bursitis, pulled groin, iliotibial band pain, any kneecap pain, shin splints, Achilles pain, or plantar fascia. Do any of you have those injuries, or have you had them in the past? This is definitely for you. Hi Deb, how's it going? Welcome back. So through my eyes as a physical therapist, I love treating the cause and not the result of the symptom. As a physical therapist, I love to treat patients that have gone other places, had different modalities, and they haven't gotten better because a lot of times they're getting the result of something treated as opposed to the cause. There are real injuries, and they do actually have maybe a foot problem or an ankle problem, but if we just treat the foot or the ankle problem, it's not going to get better unless we treat the bigger problem, which I'm going to get into tonight. Whenever we treat the symptom, it's more of the flashy thing, it's the new thing, things that people see here, other people talking about. When you go online and do a search, you're going to find, oh, what is the newest and latest thing? A lot of times, I can give you 3 guarantees when you're treating the symptom of an issue and not the result. For example, if you're treating plantar fasciitis by just addressing the foot, in my opinion, that's missing the boat. We have to look other places. And if you're going to treat the symptom and not the cause, I guarantee you 3 things. You will eventually hit the ceiling because you're only going to be able to go so far with your progress in returning to your racing. The symptoms will always catch up to you, another thing that I know. And the third thing is the lack of dedication or preparation will lead to overtraining and frustration as you're not making your progress because you're not getting the right area treated. You work even harder, then you get more overuse injuries, and there's a bunch of other issues that can happen as a result. So for me as a physical therapist, I always treat the spine. Number one thing, I always mobilize, and I do mobilization with movement of the spine because we need to clear the spine first. That's the first thing. I also really feel that it's important to educate you on the proper diagnosis and the treatment plan because we need to know where we're going. We need to have a plan. We need to have an outcome. And then we need to have a why, and then we need the steps to get there. But I'm finding over these last couple of years, the biggest thing that I see is we need to find your starting point. A lot of the exercises that I see people coming in and doing are really good exercises, but it's not at the right point. I've used this example before. If I give you a map of how to get from Attleboro to Boston, you could get there if I told you that you were here in Attleboro. But if I gave you the same map, but I put you in Kentucky and asked you to get to Boston, you wouldn't know how to get there. So for me, we need to find your starting point. Where are you? What does your body look like? Where are you in your training cycle? Really important questions to ask. And also, where is your core at? Hey, Jerry, how's it going? Where are you with your core conditioning? Where are you with your strength training? And then how dedicated are you to your core exercises? Because that is everything. And then, as a physical therapist, I'm going to progress you only when you're ready. And remember from my past talks, it takes a 1% to 2% change consistently to make all the difference in the world. It's not flashy, it's slow, consistent over time, which is going to have the biggest return on investment for you. And then I have to teach activation of the right things with impeccable form. Very, very important. So now we're going to talk about just a little bit of anatomy. I'm going to do a quick a review of anatomy that we've done in the past. To me, the most important muscle in the body is the gluteus maximus. The most important muscle, it's the largest muscle in the body, and it is the most important in terms of functioning for the lower body. The next muscle is the gluteus medius, which is the muscle on the side of your hip. It is also a very important muscle, but it's a backup and stability muscle. A lot of times I'm finding with all these injuries that I'm going to talk about tonight is that the glute maximus in the low back is not working. So the glute medius on the side of the hip, the one over here on the side, is doing the work of the glute maximus, but it's not able to do it. It just doesn't have the capacity to do it. Another important muscle is your adductor or your inner thigh muscles. Very crucial muscle because that is your shock absorber. When you're running, if you're going downhill, if you have good shock absorbers, then all the force, then it's not like wreaking havoc on your body where you're slamming your body all the time. Adductor is a very important muscle group. Those to me are the three most important muscles. We also have the piriformis, which is not a prime mover. I hear a lot of talk about the piriformis muscle and so much focus on it. To me, it's not a prime mover, and it's only a result of another issue. So when someone says, I've gone to get shots for the piriformis and I've gone to get the Graston and dry needling, to me, it's a piece of the puzzle, but we need to fix the most important part, which is the low back, the core, and the glutes, to make them work properly before we address the piriformis. The next one, which is fairly important, is the hip flexor. And I see a lot of hip flexor injuries just from a result of improper training, not doing the right things. If you have a hip flexor problem, or if you have a piriformis problem, or if you have a hamstring problem, those are all things as a result of the glute max not working and the low back not working. Hey, Shelly, how's it going? Thanks for joining. The other one is the IT band, the iliotibial band. Everybody talks about rolling the IT band. Drives me absolutely nuts. The IT band is only a result of the glute max not working, is a result of the glute medius muscle overworking, which then it lets your knee cave in. Again, if you're treating the IT band, you're treating the result of the problem, not the problem itself. Then we have the tension fascia lata, which is also on the side of your hip. And again, that is a backup muscle as well. It also works with the glute medius as well. So just a quick review for the anatomy. So when people come to see me for physical therapy, and I go over kind of what I'm thinking is going on with the fuse box, I'm seeing that there are basically three types of reactions that I'm going to get. The first one is someone comes to physical therapy and they hear the diagnosis and they're going to hear what I'm going to go over in a few minutes, that it's all related to the spine, all related to the low back. It doesn't matter what your injury is in your lower body, that's where I have to start. So the first patient that comes in says, wow, I really understand this. I can show you immediately, immediate results to show you and back up with what I'm saying. They're going to go, wow, this makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to do it. It takes a 1% to 2% change like we talked about, and it's pretty simple, but it's going to take a longer time to get there because we're trying to build a good foundation for you. That's the first type of patient. The second type of patient that I also see when someone comes to physical therapy is they hear what I'm saying. It's really simple. They don't really think it's going to work, but they want to try, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And after they don't get the results in a quick enough time period, then they just don't follow the plan. Those are the people that I can see 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later with the same injury after they've tried all the flashy treatments, they've tried the dry needling, they've tried all the other things that you want to try, treating the symptom. After spending thousands of dollars, they're still in the same spot. So the third type of person that's going to come in to see me for therapy is going to say, I'm going to go through the diagnosis, I'm going to show them why and how, what's going on. They're going to say, this is too simple, and they're just not going to agree. And that's okay too. So what I'm going to go over now is I'm going to go over my 24 years of experience with all the different issues that I talked about for someone with racing obstacle course races might have for the low body, what is the cause and what is the treatment that I would be doing for it. So I'm going to go over all those. Super excited about this. One of my favorite topics to talk about is lower body injuries. The first one a lot of people have is low back pain. What can low back pain be caused by? Well, it can be caused by muscular imbalance. Usually the abdominal muscles and the low back muscles aren't really working as efficiently as they could. It could be that your mid-back is just not flexible enough. It could be that you've ramped up your care too quickly. It could be a few different things going on with low back pain. You've changed the way you walk because of an injury. You tweaked your back, many different things. But to me, the treatment is going to, and you're going to start to see a pattern of things here as I go through all these diagnoses. I'm going to treat the cause of the symptom and not the result of the cause. So first thing I'm going to do all the time with every person is I'm going to mobilize your mid-back. Your mid-back, if I look at the spine over here, so we have your low back, there's 5 vertebrae in your low back, there's 12 in your mid-back, and then there's 7 in your neck. These 12 in your mid-back, they're for mobility. This has to be a mobile section. It has to move. It has a bunch of degrees of freedom. Has to move. The neck is a stability portion because that's where we're going to get all the strength and power for our arms. And the low back is also a stability portion. That's where we're going to get all the strength and power for our whole lower body. If the mid-back doesn't move, it doesn't matter what you're coming in here for, nothing's really going to work well. Even from ankle sprains to neck to shoulders, I have to start with mobilizing, foam rolling the mid-back. That is crucial to having anybody get better. So then I have to find the starting point. Where are they? Where is their core strength? Where is their range of motion? What does it look like? Important to find a starting point. That is the most crucial part that I do as a physical therapist. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the core. I have to start turning on the abdominal muscles. The core meaning the whole front and the whole back along your spine. I need to turn on the core. I need to get things working well. I need to make sure that the glute maximus, the biggest muscle in the body, is working as optimally as it can. And believe it or not, people don't know how to use the glute a significant amount. And I can tell you on every single person that I've seen, thousands of patients over the last couple of years specifically, is that when you don't, on the same side as your injury, your glute is not working on that side. I can tell you with 100% certainty. So glute maximus has to work well. I have to loosen up and work on the glute medius because I can also tell you that the glute medius muscle is not working as well and is in spasm. I might also have to mobilize and work the lumbar spine and also the SI joint. Now, if I do all these things as a physical therapist through my hands-on techniques, I should be able to correct anything else at the hips and the knees and the ankles by exercise correction. The next thing, the second thing I'm going to talk about is hip bursitis. Why does someone get hip bursitis? Well, what is bursitis? On the side of the hip over here, a bursa is a fluid-filled sac that goes in an area where there might be a lot of friction. So we have a bursa. We have a bursa on our elbows, bursas on our kneecaps, and bursa on our hip. We have many bursa. Through a muscular imbalance, because again, the low back is not strong enough, your core is not strong enough, your glutes are not working, it puts a lot of undue stress on the hip, and then your gluteus medius muscle is your palm muscle, which, as we know, does not work. What am I going to do for treatment? See if you can guess. I'm going to mobilize the thoracic spine. I'm going to find out your starting point. Where is your starting point? Now, it's a little bit more away from the low back, but I'm still focusing on the back all the time. After I find your starting point, again, I'm going to activate the core. I'm going to work the abdominal muscles. I'm going to work the low back muscles. And I'm going to do some hands-on techniques if I need to on the gluteus medius to get the spasm out, hands-on techniques for the glutes to get them to work and to get the spasm out there, as well as I might have to mobilize the low back, the SI joint. If that all doesn't work, then I'm mobilizing the hip joint as well. And as the last resort, the last thing I'm going to do is actually treat the bursitis. Because why? Because I know with 100% certainty that is a result of not firing the glute in the low back and the core is not working. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a pull adductor or a pull groin muscle. Hey Susan, how's it going? Donnie, nice to see you down there in Connecticut. A pull groin to me is the way the body is supposed to move. If we talk about moving along the fuse box, you've heard me talk about the fuse box before. We need to move along your core and along your spine, and then we move out. Then we move to the hips, then we move to the knees, then we move to the ankles. The way that the body is normally supposed to work as we move from the spine. If I'm going to turn, I turn with my core first, and then I go. If I'm going to walk, I'm going to turn first. If I'm going to steal a base playing baseball, I'm going to turn with my core first. If I violate the principle of motion and move from my knee and my hip first, that's how I'm going to hurt my groin. Also, if my adductor muscles, which is a big stability muscle, like we talked about before, it's a good shock absorber when you're running. If I don't strengthen the adductor muscles, then I can also pull my groin. Again, it's usually related to imbalances by not doing core exercises. What am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to mobilize a thoracic spine first. I'm going to do some hands-on stuff myself. I'm going to use the foam roll. We're going to mobilize that. We're going to activate the core. I'm also going to, again, work on the gluteus medius, work on the low back, work on the SI joint, and if I need to, address the hip. As the last resort, I'm going to do hands-on work on the adductor or the groin area, because I know through my research and through testing thousands of patients that any issues below the low back should melt away for the most part if I'm treating the cause of the symptoms. The next thing, my favorite topic of all, how many people do you know say, I have IT band pain? A lot of people. How's it going, Michael? Thanks for joining. How many people have IT band pain? How many people talk about their IT band? How many people do you know that talk about their IT band pain and never get better? How many people do you know that talk about their IT band pain? They roll with a stick. They foam roll it. They get all this treatment on the IT band, but why are they not getting better? You already know the answer. Because they're treating the cause, they're treating the result of the symptom, not the cause. So what is the cause of IT band pain? Violating the principle of motion. We need to always move from the core and start and initiate all strengthening exercises from the core first, having the core being stable and working from the glutes. Number one. Number two, there's just a muscular imbalance. The glutes aren't working, the low back and the abdominal muscles aren't working, causing the hip to overwork, which it can't take the load, causing the gluteus medius to overwork. Then when you go and when you put your foot down, your knee caves in and you get the IT band pain. The last thing, I don't remember the last time in the last couple of years that I even worked on someone's knee for IT band pain, because it's not the problem. The next problem is patella pain, which is kneecap pain. Again, how do people get kneecap pain? Not having a strong core, but also it's when you do too many downhills while not working your core to support the body. You don't have enough strength in your adductors or your inner thigh muscles, because those are your shock absorbers. When we don't have good shock absorbers, everything gets transferred to the next joint, which is the knee. Again, what is the cause? We're violating principle of motion. We're not activating the core as we're doing these exercises to strengthen the body. And then again, muscular imbalance. Abs and back are not strong enough. What is the treatment? Shocker, mobilize the thoracic spine, find out where is your starting point. Where's your starting point with the core? Because it's likely that most people do exercises that are too advanced for them. And when you start off a foundation on something that's shaky, you're eventually going to get to the point where you reach the ceiling and you can't go any farther. So I got to find your starting point and treat you from there. Going to activate the core, treat the glute max, treat the glute medius, mobilize the SI joint in the low back. And again, last case is I'm going to work on your kneecap. The next thing, shin splints. Same idea. How do people get shin splints? By ramping up the running too quickly, not enough strength training. Again, no shock absorbers because they're translating all of the symptoms all the way to the foot, violating the principle of motion. Again, it's the same pattern. Abs and back are not strong enough. It's just going to be the same treatment. I won't go over it again. Same treatment for the shin splints. I'm going to address the whole low back and all the way down. Same thing with Achilles and same thing with plantar fasciitis pain. Those are all, especially Achilles and plantar fasciitis, I know that there are spots in the lumbar spine that I need to address. I need to mobilize the lumbar spine to make sure that the spine is working well, because I know that L4, L5, and S1 can give you referred pain all the way down to simulate plantar fascia pain and simulate Achilles tendonitis, all of it. I know I had 2 more patients today. One of them came in with plantar fasciitis. I worked and addressed the low back. The symptoms were 75, 80% gone. And then we just have to work on their core strength so it doesn't keep happening. So pretty much all this, hopefully you guys have seen a pattern. And the pattern is that we need to address the same issues. We need to address the cause and not the result of the symptoms. So that's where I think why people get frustrated and they take so long to get better, because they're kind of missing the mark. So here are a few musts when recovering or being able to diagnose yourself with these injuries if you're racing obstacle course races. Is that, number one, I want to really do a good evaluation and find the cause of your symptoms. Crucial. I need to find our starting point. That's my job. Then my job is to explain it to you so you understand why we're going in a certain direction we're going, so you can make it a reality to you and it makes sense for you to do it. Even if when I need to find out your starting point, you might be in really good shape, you might be an athlete, but the problem is that people who are athletes get to bypass the first 10 to 20, 30 steps. Then when they get to a certain level, they wonder why they can't break through the ceiling. They get the overuse injuries. Is because they were able to, not intentionally, but they were able to skip the easy steps. Super important. Next thing is, I need to find out, are you overtraining? If you're overtraining because you're frustrated and you think you got to get in more time, less is always better whenever you're going to sign up and whenever you're going to train for an obstacle course race or any other race for that fact. Less is better. I know that all lower body injuries are caused by the low back and the hip not working. 100% of the time, without a doubt, 100% certainty, I know that that's true. Strengthening your core and strength training are crucial, crucial things that we need to have you do. So, what are the things that we need to do? Strength training. How important is this? Everybody needs to do it, especially as we get older. The body breaks down a lot easier. And if you're going to do a running or an obstacle course race or any running or any riding or any working out, if you don't do this, I'm going to see you in my office. I'd rather not see you. I'd rather see you watch this, get some good information to do it on your own. We also need to find out, how you doing, Sarah? Thanks for joining. You're very welcome. The next thing, where are you? It's my job to figure out where you are in the process. Where are you with your core strength? Where are you with your training? That's my process to help you out. And once we find out that, we can give you a good map of where you need to go. Crucial information to have. I love finding the starting point. I don't think many other people do, but I love finding the starting point. And I know, you know now, it's all about the glutes. It's all about the glutes. We got to have the glute, which is the biggest muscle in your body, work well all the time. And if it doesn't, I can guarantee you on any injury, whenever someone comes in, I don't even have to ask them which foot it is or which leg it is. I can tell just by what glute is not working. Are you overtraining? Really, really good question. And if you have any questions, there's many different things we can talk about. Heart rate training, there's many different ways that we can tell that. Fatigue, not sleeping at night, not hydrated enough. Really important to not overtrain. Fuse box. Everything starts from the fuse box. Everything starts along your spine, and we need to make all motions start along your spine first. It's a must. It's a must. It cannot be a should. So fuse box. If the fuse box is working, all the fuses are turned on. All the plugs, meaning your hips, your knees, your ankles, are all working. Everything's going to be working if the fuse box is turned on with some easy exercises. And then we need to work your abdominals and your low back. Find your starting point, find out what exercises in the appropriate order are good for you. Some ones that I love doing are the Superman, breaking down to the upper body and the lower body Superman. Those are money moves. I really love doing, I do the Todd squat because it activates the glute. We really need to work the adductor muscles. We need to work the glute medius. We need to work the glute maximus. Super important. We also need to work the abdominal muscles and progress from posterior pelvic tilt, lying on your back, doing some marching, and then we take it from there. So now, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to write in. I love this stuff. I'm so passionate about all these different injuries that we talked about, and I don't want to see any of you obstacle course races or athletes or runners or whatever you do being injured. So I have a couple questions here that people wrote in. I have been experiencing a lot of knee pain when I run down the mountain or down a decline racing obstacle course races. How can I address this issue? If you haven't tuned in, so thank you very much for the question. It's an amazing question, and I know with 100% certainty is that if you're having knee pain, it's a result of your low back and your glutes not working. That we need to assess where you're at. We need to assess your abdominal, your core, and your low back strength. We need to see where that is. Then I need to make sure that your glute maximus is working on both sides. And then I definitely need to address the glute medius muscle, which is the muscle on the side of your hip, because I bet after a little bit of time, it's fatiguing, causing your knee to cave in a little bit, getting a lot of kneecap pain, which is very, very painful. But the good news is it's an easy diagnosis to fix. And then sometimes the process, if it's more acute or it just happened, we can get you better a lot quicker, a lot sooner. So I would say it's working your glutes, overwork glute medius, causing a result of everything down into your legs. Awesome question. I walk and I am on my feet a lot at my job. Is that enough to get a good workout? I think it's great you're on your feet, that you're walking around at work, which is great instead of being sedentary at your job every day. Most people don't have that as an alternative, so that's awesome. I would say that doesn't count as really getting a good workout in. You really need to get in it's really good to get in 10,000 steps. You really want to get your heart moving. You want to get your body moving at a consistent pace. So it's a great goal to get in 10,000 steps a day if you can. If you can do cardio 3 to 4 days a week, that's also a great thing. But I wouldn't consider walking around at work as getting a workout in, to answer your question. Next question is I feel like after a long bike ride that my hamstring cramps up. Can PT help me? I would say your hamstring is cramping up is probably maybe a few different things. A hamstring is a result of something else not working. I'm always going to say it's the glute max not working. You're not firing your core, not being stable enough when you're riding your bike. When your glutes and your core fatigue, it's going to go to your hamstring. I would also check on your bike fit. You want to make sure the seat of your height is the right height, because that can really change the mechanics of your hip. So core strength, always number one. Check out your bike fit, make sure that that's working really well. And then I would also check your hydration, and I would make sure all your nutrition is dialed in as well. Make sure your balance, all your levels are well. Make sure your electrolytes are where they should be. So there's a bunch of different things why a hamstring could cramp. Hopefully that was helpful. The next question is, I have pain when I am 1 to 2 miles into my run, sometimes 3 to 4 miles into my, and then sometimes 3 to 4 miles into my run. What should I be doing differently? I would say that typically what happens is when someone has pain 1 to 2 miles into their run, then it goes away and it comes back again, is because the glute maximus muscle on the same side is not working efficiently. When that doesn't work, the glute medius muscle that we talked about on the side of your hip fatigues out. When that fatigues out and goes into spasm, your knee caves in, you get kneecap pain, you get IT band pain. You can also get Achilles discomfort, you can get plantar fasciitis, all those other things as a result of what? The glute max not working, the glute medius overworking, and it changes all the mechanics of your body. So I would say we need to make sure your glute medius muscle is strong enough that it can be a stability muscle. Make sure your glute max is working, and make sure you're activating your core as you're running. Tighten up your belly as you're running. That should really make a big difference for you. The last question that I have tonight is, I have kneecap pain when I go up and down stairs, and my friend suggested I roll out my IT band. I'm doing this faithfully, and my legs are still really sore. Is this helping or hurting? My thought maybe might be a little bit different, but through my eyes, I don't have anybody touch the IT band, because as we know from tonight, it is a result of the symptom of something going on up a little bit higher. So I don't suggest anybody roll their IT band. You can roll out your glute, you can roll out your glute muscle, you can roll out your piriformis with a foam roll on your hip. I think that is fantastic information, fantastic to do. But I'm not big on rolling out the IT band because it's treating the symptom. And not only that, it's very painful. I can't even imagine how much pain you're in. So I would recommend holding off on rolling your IT band, addressing your core, and working on your hip. Hopefully this was really helpful for all you obstacle course racers. I love what you do. You guys are all passionate. Guys and girls are all passionate about what you do. So hopefully this was helpful to give you some insight that all your symptoms, anything from the low body is related to your core, your glutes, and your lumbar spine. Everything. Every diagnosis has a huge portion of that, and that's where you should really start. So if you're getting therapy somewhere and you're not really making the progress you want to make, the stuff I'm telling you is not flashy. It's not shiny. It's just using basic human principles, but this is going to build you the best foundation you can, and it's going to make you in the best position to be successful. Again, hopefully this was helpful to you. I am super excited about the next time tuning in for part number 2, obstacle course racing, the upper body, because I know you guys do a lot of hanging and monkey bars, and I want to make sure that you are going to be as strong as you can for your next race. Thanks again for tuning in. Had an awesome time tonight. Again, one of my favorite topics to talk about, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.